Your brain's not working against you, it's just working without you. My name is Tiera Click, joy strategist and founder of When the Mind Clicks, a mental health and self-improvement based leadership development program and organization. And today we are continuing the Leadership Lab. This is part one of a series of videos that I will be doing on executive functioning. This video is to begin bringing awareness and understanding. We are currently in a Zoom webinar. This is also going to be uploaded to YouTube, so I will be sure to edit it for the YouTube platform. But for those of you in the Zoom, please feel free to ask questions in the chat. This is very interactive, and we're going to go ahead and jump in. So last time we were talking about cognitive distortions. If you haven't checked those videos out, I need you to go back and watch those videos. Cognitive distortions, those are those thinking patterns that run in the background and shape how you see yourself, the world, perceive others, your relationships, everything around you is bottled into this singular cognitive distortion that makes you think that that's what's happening, but really it's a cognitive brain distortion warp. It's limited to your perception, it's limited to your experience, it's not necessarily always true or accurate to reality. So at the end of that episode, I mentioned that cognitive distortions activate when the threat system fires, your brain's command center, okay? It starts to go offline. Today, we are going to go deeper into that because what goes offline has a name and it has a home. It's your executive functioning skills, and it lives within your prefrontal cortex. And understanding it might be one of the most practically useful things you'll ever learn about yourself. Before we get into the content, I want you to do a quick mental scan, okay? Think about a time recently when you knew what you needed to do and you just couldn't. You had the knowledge, the intention, maybe even the motivation, but something between the plan and the action broke down. Hold that moment. We'll come back to it. Go grab a pen and paper, go grab someone else to watch this video, and let's get into it. All right, Tiera, what are executive functions? Well, executive functions can sound pretty clinical, like something out of a neuroscience textbook, but I want you to think about it differently. Your executive functions are the operating systems of your brain, your brain's administrative team. They are the part of you that plans, focuses, organizes, makes decisions, manages your emotions, follows through, and adapts even when things go sideways. They are your brain's capacity to actually execute on who you are and what you want, and they optimize on your intelligence. Think of it as the brain's administrative team. So to break it down a little more clinically, executive functions are a set of cognitive processes primarily housed in the prefrontal cortex that allow you to manage your attention and focus, regulate your emotions, plan and organize behavior, think before you act, initiate and complete tasks, be self-aware, be cognizant of what you've done and how you did it and why you didn't do something, being able to adapt when things change, being flexible, following through on long-term goals, inhibit impulses, have some self-restraint, and control reactive responses. In short, executive functions are the difference between knowing what to do and actually doing it, between reacting and responding, between surviving the day and leading your life. And as leaders, it is super important to not only address your cognitive distortions, but be aware of which of your executive functions are being optimized and where there are some gaps. Maybe your executive function might be limited in certain areas. How do you know if you're a leader? Well, if you're healing education, strengths, growth, and optimizing your executive functions have an impact on the people around you, well, those are the qualities of a leader. There are 15 executive functions we're going to work with, and I'm going to provide you with as a leader so that you can start placing yourself in the picture and understanding which executive functions you are really strong at and which ones you need a little support in. All executive functions can be improved. They may be limited right now, but you can optimize them and work on them. That is exactly why neuroplasticity exists. That is exactly how we optimize our growth mindset. There are so many different ways that we can learn to improve pieces of our brain, behaviors, and activities that weren't so strong before. Throughout this video series, we are going to go deep into each executive function, the examples, some strategies, how to strengthen them, all of that. But this video is just about awareness and a little bit of understanding. So we're going to walk through this list more conversationally. All right. So if you didn't grab that pen and paper, I need you to go get it now. Pause the video and come on back. Let's dive in. Number one, response inhibition. This is basically self-restraint. This is thinking before acting. Come on now. Number two is working memory. These are mental sticky notes, being able to hold on to information while using it. Number three, emotional regulation, feeling emotions without being taken over by them. Okay, regulation is the ability to notice, understand, and manage emotions. Next up is sustained attention. This is the ability to stay on task, staying with the task, even when it's hard. Next, you have task initiation. That is getting started without paralysis. Okay. Next up, planning and prioritization. This is creating a roadmap and knowing what matters most. Next up is organization, building and maintaining systems, organizing things in a way that they now show up systematically. It is easy to shuffle through them and find what you are looking for because they are properly categorized. Next is time management. All right. This is knowing how long things actually take, having a good sense of awareness of the time around you. We have goal-directed persistence. This is following through despite setbacks. Next up is flexibility. Cognitive flexibility is adapting even when the plan changes. Metacognition. Metacognition is thinking about your own thinking, being able to get a vantage point on a situation, increasing self-awareness, being able to analyze, reassess what you have done, what you have said, your behaviors. It is being aware of your own thinking and your own behaviors. Next up, we have working memory updating. This is replacing old information with new information. Can you update your working memory? Like changing the rules in the middle of the game, is that going to throw you off completely? Or are you able to update the new information as you play the game? Then you have inhibitory control. This is resisting impulses that undermine your goals. Can you have some restraint about things that are not aligned with what you're on track for? Then we have prospective memory. This is remembering to act on future intentions. And lastly, we're going to talk about attentional control. All right. This is directing your focus like a spotlight, being able to narrow in and have control over your attention, being intentional and directing it in a certain direction. So, just from that list, without thinking too hard, which one or two jump out at you as something that you struggle with? Drop it in the comments, talk to the people you're around right now, just name it. No explanation needed. But if you do drop it in the comments, I would love to see it because I kind of want to see what people got going on. And I think there might be other people in the comments that are having similar experiences. Here's what I want you to understand. And this is the connective tissue between last week's episodes and today, this current series. Cognitive distortions don't just stay in the mind. When your brain interprets a situation as threatening, even when the threat is a thought pattern rather than actual real danger, it sends a distress signal to the body. Okay, the nervous system responds as if the threat is real. Your heart rate climbs, your muscles tense, stress hormone cortisol rises, and in that state, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, organization, goal direction, all that thinking gets kicked right offline, which is exactly when you need them most. So here's what that means in real life. When your cognitive distortions are running, you are catastrophizing, mind reading, labeling yourself, your brain's executive processing center is being actively pulled offline. You're not just thinking wrong, you're losing access to the very tools that you would need to think differently. So that is why we need to practice. And it is possible to practice. It is possible to quiet that survival response, not allow your amygdala to completely take over, to tap into your prefrontal cortex, even in stressful situations. All of these things are possible, but they need to be practiced. They need to be learned. Your nervous system has two primary modes, and understanding them isn't just some theory, it's a map to your own capacity. Okay, so when you're in a regulated state, that's your parasympathetic nervous system, PNS. They call it the reset and digest, calm, safe, present. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center, it's online, it's fully active. You can think, plan, reflect, and choose. Decisions are smooth. You have access to all of your executive functions. Learning, growth, and creativity are possible in this state. Then you have your sympathetic nervous system, SNS, fight, flight, freeze. I like to add fawn, but fight, flight, and freeze, right? You are stressed, reactive, overwhelmed. It's not always necessarily a bad thing, though. There's a reason we have the sympathetic nervous system, but for the sake of this video, we are going to talk about what it's like to constantly be in that SNS, right? In that state, the brain routes energy away from the prefrontal cortex towards survival system. Okay. Being in survival mode, having survival responses make you feel more alert and more triggered more frequently than you actually should. And that leads to burnout, poor decision making. It's hard to stay focused. Your executive function processes start to shut down. Decisions become more reactive rather than intentional. Everything feels urgent because the nervous system is like, we got to stay safe. We have to do this, right? So, again, these aren't good or bad necessarily. They're both essential. Your survival state exists for a reason, of course, but the problem rises when your system gets stuck in survival mode during situations that don't actually require it. Nervous system regulation and executive functioning go hand in hand. When your nervous system is calm, in a regulated state, the prefrontal cortex functions optimally to support high-level cognitive tasks. So that's why we want to practice strengthening our executive functions, quieting that amygdala in unnecessary situations, training our body to respond in a way that we can access high-level cognitive tasks. This is important because when a stressful situation comes up, we are able to communicate more constructively. When an emergency occurs, we are able to think more clearly. Let's say there's an emergency. I would be able to say, okay, I need to grab my bag, grab my kids, go out the front door, head to the nearest fire station. I can think and process clearly, which ultimately saves me in that situation versus being so distressed and so overwhelmed that all my executive functions shut down. And now I'm in freeze response and I'm not doing anything, right? Or maybe I'm in a highly reactive response and I'd rather stay and try to tend to this danger head on than get myself into a safe location. So that's a bigger level situation. But even in arguments, disagreements, sometimes we go into survival mode when we're scared to speak up for ourselves. If you struggle with people pleasing, then sharing your opinion when you disagree with someone will feel like a survival response. You might end up in flight or freeze, maybe even fawn. You start to shrink. You don't know what to say. Your body's trying to keep you safe by keeping you quiet. So you never speak up for yourself, right? But if you can regulate your emotions, okay, I feel a little embarrassed. I feel a little anxious. That's regulated. What needs to happen here? I still need to share my boundaries and express that I disagree with this situation because I would like to do something differently. If I don't speak up, then I'm going to have to go along with the plan that this other person just made, which goes against all my values, all my character, and that puts me in a worse situation. So learning to manage, notice, and understand your emotions will allow you to communicate more constructively and actually execute in a manner that feels more closely related to what you actually want for yourself. Under stress, the body shifts into survival mode, actively shutting down all those executive functioning processes. And that includes emotional regulation, that includes clear communication, that includes prioritizing your needs. And instead, you start leaning into more reactive responses. You become rigid. You become stuck in a certain thinking pattern. Have you ever tried to make an important decision or have a calm conversation or start a super hard task and then you felt like your brain just wouldn't cooperate? That's not always weakness or laziness. That's your nervous system in survival mode doing exactly what it's designed to do, prioritizing immediate safety over long-term thinking. The antidote isn't trying harder, though. It's regulating first. So, learning how to regulate is going to be super important, and you will learn that here in When the Mind Clicks Leadership Lab. So, here's a question. Think about when your brain feels most available to you, most focused, most clear, most capable. What's typically true about your state, okay, in that moment? What are you doing? What was your environment like? Let me know those things. When do you usually feel like your brain has the most access to all of its executive functions? I'd love to hear from you. I want to see some comments in the chat, and we're going to wrap this video up as the part one of the executive functions series in the Leadership Lab. In the description, you will see a free download of executive functions, so go ahead and check that out. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, turn on your notifications, and check out my website, When the Mind Clicks. I'll see you next week, and we will pick up on this discussion then.